You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hello and welcome to episode 241 of the Soul Forge podcast.
Welcome to the Soul Forge, a place of silent mystery, quiet contemplation, and outright mayhem. Join your host, Sean Vanderloo, as he guides you through the adventures of living. Together, we'll talk about life and love, sex and dating, joy and heartache, memories and loss, and so much more. Don't worry, it's not nearly as pretentious as it sounds. Get ready for life, the universe, and everything on the Soul Forge.
Hey everybody, it's episode 2 for 1. Does that mean you're getting 2 episodes for the price of 1? No, but you're lucky you're getting an episode at all because it is Wednesday evening and I almost didn't record something for you for tomorrow. Why? Because I've been racking my brains all week trying to think of something upbeat and uplifting to talk about. And that's not easy with Russia invading Ukraine. So then I thought, well, do I want to talk about the war in Ukraine? No. I don't want to do that because that is super depressing and I am trying to avoid anything to do with depression or sadness or heaviness or any kind of thing like that. As you recall from several weeks ago, I was very depressed and as of, I believe today it might be, that 3 weeks later I'm on these pills and I think the depression, has it lifted? Is it masked because of the pills? I don't know. My brain is filled with jumbly mess and I'm overwhelmed with all kinds of thoughts and whatever. But I'm not depressed. I don't feel like crying in a snowbank anymore. So that's a good thing. So that's very nice. So here is some kind of rambly episode for all of you girls and boys out in podcast land. I don't really have an agenda. I don't know what I'm going to talk about and I don't think it really matters. It's just, here I am in front of my little recorder. You're listening to the dulcet tones of my voice. It's very soothing. Maybe you use this podcast to go to sleep. I don't know. And it doesn't really matter. But here we are. And we're going to be talking. I'm going to be talking about things and stuff. I might be talking about stuff and things. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I just finished recording an episode of it wasn't the Cosmic Pizza podcast. It was the Babylon 5 podcast that I do with Paul and Dan. Now, as you all know, not only do I do the Soul Forge podcast by myself, sometimes with guests, I also co-host 2 podcasts with Dan and Paul. Paul and Dan from the UK. The first one that we started was the Cosmic Pizza podcast, and that's just general podcasting. We talk about our favorite movies of the decades. We've interviewed people who do films. The one that just came out today actually was our crossover episode with the boys from the Play on Nerds podcast network, Steve and Jarman. If you're not listening to Steve and Jarman on the Play on Nerds network, you're missing out. They're hilarious. I don't even care what they talk about. I just listen to every episode they do because it's great entertainment. So that's Cosmic Pizza. And then we do the Epsilon 3, which is the Babylon 5 Rewatch podcast.
It was the dawn of another podcast. The Epsilon 3 is a dream given form. It's a home away from home for 3 guys to watch a 90s sci-fi classic TV show. 3 guys with microphones over 3,249 miles apart, all alone in the night. The year is 2021. The name of the station is Babylon 5. The name of the podcast is the Epsilon 3. Veer, bring me a drink.
If you don't know what Babylon 5 is, let me tell you. It's a TV series that came out in 1994, lasted for 5 years, written, produced, and created by J. Michael Straczynski, and they're working on a reboot. And it was supposed to come out this fall, but I guess the CW is going through a purchase or an acquisition or something, and now, if it all works out, it'll come out in 2023. Who knows? But but we've got the original, and it's great. And today we recorded the first 2 episodes of season 2. And that's when that show really gets going, because we got Bruce Boxleitner as Captain Sheridan instead of Michael O'Hare as Commander Sinclair. But it's just, it's a lot of fun. It takes place in the 2250s and 60s over the 5 years. Great big war. Just a great show. The effects are CGI, one of the first shows with CGI effects that don't really hold up, because that's like 30 years ago now almost. But if you can get beyond the effects, then everything's good. So anyway, that's what we just did. And it's fun. And podcasting, is it my life? No, not really. But it's my Wednesday hang out with the boys across the pond kind of thing. And it's a lot of fun. So that's what we do. And that's what I did. And after we recorded that, I was like, well, I don't have an episode for this week's Soul Forge. What am I going to do it on? It's episode 2 for 1. I could do a whole thing about pizza, because we have a pizza shop here called 2 for 1 Pizza. But I was like, you know what? We've been doing Cosmic Pizza for 1.5 years, and we've never talked about pizza over there either. So I'm not really going to. Answer me a question. Does pineapple belong on pizza? My brother Robin thinks it does, but most people don't. soulforgepodcast@gmail.com. The listeners want to know, do you like pineapple on your pizza? That's not serious. But if you do want to send me an email, definitely go ahead. And I'll read it on the show maybe if you want me to. What else is going on? Let's see. The Etsy shop. It's been a little bit slow the last month or so. I guess people don't have a lot of money after Christmas, but it's picked up a little bit this week. Sold some pop vinyl figures, sold some tech deck skateboarding little mini things that that was one of the things that I posted first back in June of last year, and it finally sold last night. Shipped it off today, and the person seems quite happy with it. Another thing that happened was when I started the Etsy shop, I also started posting some of the items for sale on the Rusted Robot Facebook page. Totally forgot I had done that, and out of the blue this week, some guy contacted me, wanted to buy 2 of the He-Man action figures that I had on there, sent me an e-transfer, and I shipped it out this week, and I'm getting rid of some of my things very, very slowly. Not as much, blah, blah, blah words. Words are hard, gang. Not as fast as I would like my things to disappear, but they're disappearing nonetheless, and that's good, because I need that money to pay for my car repairs. Did I tell you about hitting the bumper on a snowbank and cracking the bumper, and the washer fluid bottle jug thing cracked and it's out of stock, and I haven't had a washer fluid bottle for a month, and trying to drive around town without that is not good, because things get sprayed and then it gets crusty and you have to throw snow on it, and oh my goodness, it's a pain in the ass.
If you're loving this podcast, you should tell a friend about it.
Spread the word about podcasts you think they would enjoy. There's something for everyone, from entertainment and lifestyle
To news and politics
and more. Share it on social media. Believe it or not, some people don't know how great podcasts are,
or even how to find and listen to them.
You can help change that with a click. Tell your friends about your favorite podcast.
Thanks for spreading the word.
Let's get back to the original idea for this week's episode. I thought there was going to be nothing, and then I thought, you know what? Why don't I re-release an old episode? But which one could it be? And then I was thinking, I could release the interview I did with my favorite author, Robert J Sawyer, because this weekend I picked up his book, The Oppenheimer Experiment. I've been looking at it for a long time, and I finally got it at a used bookstore. And he's pretty much my favorite author. I actually met him back in 2019, but I interviewed him in 2014 for the Rusted Robot podcast. So I was like, why don't I re-release that episode for this week for Soul Forge, so all the listeners can hear my nervousness trying to interview my favorite author. So I looked up through my external hard drive, and I looked all over my computer, and apparently I no longer have that recording. It was episode 13 of Rusted Robot, and I've got 10, 11, 12, 15. I don't have 13 and 14 for some reason, so I couldn't really re-release it. I could not re-release that episode because apparently it no longer exists. Actually, I'm going to check my iTunes app right now because I still have Rusted Robot on there. I wonder if it's there still, because some of them order. Let's take a look here. There's 30 episodes still here. And 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, it's still there, but it doesn't look like it's downloaded. Let me see if I hit play. Episode unavailable. No. So I don't have it anywhere. That interview is totally gone from the universe.
Hi, I'm Hugo Award-winning science fiction writer Robert J. Sawyer, and you're listening to the Rusted Robot Podcast.
It probably wasn't a very good episode anyway, but I would have liked to have shared it with you so that you had something to listen to. And I wouldn't have mind listening to it again because it has been like 8 years since I recorded the thing. And he is my favorite author. He's Canadian. He lives in the Toronto area. And I've pretty much got all of his books. Let's see. I'm just looking at my bookshelf right now. Let's talk about books, actually. Let's do that. Because I don't really have much to talk about. Did I tell you that I watched Reacher on Amazon Prime a couple weeks ago? And that's a character created by Lee Child. And so Reacher is an ex-military police officer. And he's kind of like the Littlest Hobo, if you remember that show from mid-'80s Canadiana, where a dog would wander into town, save the day, and then move along again. And that's kind of like what Reacher does. He wanders into town, gets involved in some shenanigans, beats up a bunch of people, saves the day, and then moves on again. And every book is the same, but different. So that's Lee Child. He's great. Matthew Reilly is another author that I really enjoy. Action-adventure kind of thing. Just looking at my bookshelf here, what else have I got? I've got Mitch Albom. He wrote Tuesdays with Morrie and The 5 People You Meet in Heaven. He's pretty awesome. I've got almost all of his books. Paulo Coelho, he wrote The Alchemist. I got a 10-pack of his books, and I'm slowly working my way through those ones. Like I said, Robert J. Sawyer. He's Canadian, one of my favorite authors. He's speculative sci-fi, but it's more down to earth, so to speak. You'd like... I don't know if you'd like it, but he's not nearly as famous as I think he should be. What else have we got here? I've read a lot of books by Stephen Baxter. I think he's British. Some of his books are really, really intense and hard to read, and some just flow like crazy. They're just so good. What else have I got here on my shelf? Robert Rankin, Lee Child, lots of Star Trek books, actually. A few other random things, but Mitch Albom, Paulo Coelho, Robert Sawyer, Matthew Reilly. Oh, actually, Andy McDermott is pretty good too. He writes about this lady archaeologist. I think her name is Nina Wilde, and she's discovered all kinds of different things in her books. I haven't read them in a while, but she's always finding things that people didn't think existed, and so those are pretty cool. And she's always being chased by bad guys. That's a common thing. People are always being chased by bad guys in all these books. So anyway, that's what I've been reading, and selling a lot of pop vinyls. Not this past month or so, but in general on the Etsy shop. Rusted Robot Toys is on Etsy. What else? I don't know. See, this is a very random episode. Not got a lot of follow through or flow through or really know what I'm even talking about. There's Nimoy. Maybe you heard him shaking his fur, right, buddy? Because it can't be a podcast without you staring at me. That's true, right? Yeah. See, now he wants to come up. Come on. There we go. Okay. Say hi to the folks on the podcast. Can you make your noise? No, you can just sniff the thing. Okay, that's fine. So yeah, that's what's happening there. What are we in? We're at the beginning stages of March, and COVID is certainly winding down. So of course we need to have a war in Europe, because why not? What else can I tell you? This episode comes out March 3rd, and that's the premiere of Season 2 of Star Trek Picard. Looking forward to that. Season 4 of Star Trek Discovery is winding down. In May, the first season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds comes out, so that's exciting. Yeah, I guess that's really it. I don't have a lot to talk about this week. Basically, the pills are starting to work. I'm feeling less depressed. There's still a heck of a lot of snow, but it looks like the long-range forecast says that the weather's going to be warming up, and I've been seeing the sun a whole heck of a lot more, so that's good too. What the future holds? Not a clue. Does it matter? No. But the most important thing is the weather is going to get warm, there's going to be a lot more travel, and sometimes it'll just be nice to lay out under the stars and stare at the sky with someone you love. Doesn't that sound amazing? That sounds perfect to me. And that's what I would like to do. And whatever you want to do, just make it happen. I'm thinking that's the way to live your life. Do what feels right for you. So, no major life lessons this week. A lot of rambly talk. Basically, it's just another episode. A 2-for-1 special, I guess you could say. A little bit of introspection, a little bit of pop culture, a little bit of author stuff, and just more entertainment for your ear holes, and that's really what it's all about. So, if you haven't followed me on the YouTube channel, why don't you do that? Because many of the episodes that I've produced, both in Rusted Robot and Soulforge, are on there. You can be doing something on the computer while you're listening to me in the background. Just look up my name, Sean Vanderloo. Once again, that's Sean Vanderloo on YouTube. Subscribe today. So, if you've enjoyed this episode, leave it a 5-star review. If you have not enjoyed this episode, leave it a 5-star review anyway. Just do it on your app, because I would appreciate it. But until next time, I want you all to take care of yourselves and each other. Next week, I'm going to try to come up with a way better topic, something that's a little bit more coherent and flows better, I guess, is the way to put it. But until next time, this is all I've got. So remember, don't watch the clock. Do what it does. Keep going. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Soulforge podcast. Your support is greatly appreciated, and we hope you'll tune in again next time. Remember that you can visit soulforgepodcast.com for all of our social media links, and don't forget to share the show with everyone you know. The Soulforge podcast is your best source for living your best life.
Think about it.
The Babylon Project was our last, best hope for peace. A self-contained world 5 miles long, located in neutral territory. A place of commerce and diplomacy for 250,000 humans and aliens. A shining beacon in space, all alone in the night. It was the dawn of the third age of mankind, the year the Great War came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Babylon stations. The year is 2259. The name of the place is Babylon 5.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.